So you're probably an airman and you just found out that you got orders to March Air Force Base here in Southern California. Well, in this video, I'm gonna go over the pros and the cons of living around the March Air Force Base California area. Things to do, things that it offers, and really what to expect. So you definitely wanna stay tuned because we're gonna get after it right now. So if this is your first time to this channel and you want to know everything that there is about living, eating, breathing, playing in the March Air Force Base area, then you want to subscribe below and tap that bell for notifications so you can be the first to know about the current market here in the March Air Force Base area. Now, my name is Jonathan. We get calls, texts, emails every single day from people just like you looking to make their move, and we absolutely love it. So whether you got orders for 9 days, 90 days, or even 900 days, you could always give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or schedule a Zoom down below. We would love to help you make that smooth move to the March Air Force Base area. Now, you might be wondering, okay, what does this guy have to know about March Air Force Base or us active duty military? Well, I just want full disclosure. I am a veteran myself, and I have worked with a bunch of airmen, helping them relocate to the March Air Force Base area, and they absolutely love it. So I cannot say names, but I would say the last two that did move down here. One was got restationed from Korea, moved to Riverside, California, which is about 15 minutes from March Air Force Base, give or take traffic, and he absolutely loves it, right? So much potential and things to do here in the Southern California region, and if you've never been to this area, yes, we know March Air Force Base is a reserve base, so a lot of people that do get relocated are kind of localists, right? But for those of you that are not reservists or maybe active duty, getting restationed here from different areas, there is a lot to learn and a lot to figure out because, there's a lot going on in the surrounding areas of March Air Force Base. And so, for prime example, there's so many things to do, which again, I don't want to spill the beans just yet. So I will give you your desserts and your veggies in time to come. So give us a little bit of a minute, but March Air Force Base is surrounded by a big populace of different types of cities, and there is a whole lot going on within the March Air Force Base. Endless opportunities of things to do, so that's also one big major factor and thing to consider. Now, March Air Force Base by no means it's not a big Air Force Base, it's just not. So those of you that are military and you're an airman or airwoman, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? And so without further ado, I really just want to jump into the nitty and gritty and let's get into these pros. So I'm going to give you your dessert before I give you your veggies, going on to pro number one. Pro number one of living in the March Air Force Base area is that it's gonna have a great location, right? Now, what about the location that makes it so great? Well, you are surrounded by big metropolitan cities such as Los Angeles, maybe Riverside or San Diego, right? You are kind of nested in the hub of all these areas that you can go to and enjoy if you want to get out of town, right? So that's one big major feature. Where it's geographically located here in Southern California is amazing, right? Because within the same day, if you live in around the March Air Force Base area and you wanted to go surfing, let's say for example, and you probably wanted to go one of the beaches, let's say to Orange County, California, let's say probably Newport Beach or something of that nature, and maybe you get bored and you go during the mornings, hit a couple of waves, have a good time, and then you decide, you know what, I want to go snowboarding, right? You absolutely can. You might be thinking I'm crazy. Well, I'm gonna let you know this. Southern California is 1 out of 5 places in the entire world that you can go surfing and snowboarding on the same day. So when I mean location, it is phenomenal because again, you can do best of both worlds where you could go surfing and then you can go snowboarding up into the mountains, go to Big Bear, California, right? And have a grand old time. Let's not forget all the things there is to do around it. But that right there is why we're naming location as pro number 1. Moving on to pro number 2. Pro number 2 of living around the March Air Force Base area, and that is going to be its amenities. Now, immediately surrounding the areas of March Air Force Base, again, we know we do have some big major cities. Well, one of the great things about having some nice cities nearby is that you have a lot of amenities to do. When I say amenities, I mean really activities, right? Such as, for example, if you have a hot summer day and maybe you just wanted to go to like small water park and have a grand old time. I bring this up all the time. It is Drop Zone Water Park in Paris, California, which is about 15 minutes of a drive from March Air Force Base, right? And it's a little bit south in Paris, California. But Drop Zone Water Park is a cool little water amusement park that you can just go for the day and have a grand old time, whether it's you want to do the lazy river, get on the slide, or hit the Olympic pool, or maybe you got kids and you want them to have a little water park jungle gym type of theme. They have that as well. So that's one of the cool, amazing features, because it can get hot out here, right? Now there's other amenities, such as maybe you want to go axe throwing. Well, you can do that nearby as well, or maybe you wanted to go bowling, laser tags, or play arcade games, right? So many different variety of options that you can do if you're living around the March Air Force Base area. The amenities are just great. And let's not forget the things that are not indoor, such as the outdoor things. So many hiking trails, biking trails, and things of that nature, right? And so that's another consideration, is that you do have those extra amenities, whether you're an indoor person or whether you're an outdoor person. You know, you can have best of both worlds. So that's one big, again, major factor into the pros. So that is going to be pro number 2. Moving on to pro number 3. Now, pro number 3 is actually one of my personal favorites, is you do have a bit better cost of living, affordable housing compared to some of the areas in the Western region, coastal region, really, is that, hey, surrounding that March Air Force Base area, the housing is not as bad as, for example, let's say if you were towards the coastline, or maybe stationed on Camp Pendleton or Miramar or other places down south, right? Is that you do get a little bit more affordability living in the inland part of California. Not too inland. You can still get to the beaches within an hour and some change, right? So that's something you definitely must have if you're living here in Southern California. But again, it's just the affordability in housing is a little bit better. And so the town that March Air Force Base tucks itself right under is Moreno Valley, which is, I want to say, an affordable city such as, and also Paris, California, compared to a lot of the Southern California region in general. And so that is one, again, big, major factor when you're getting restationed here to the area of, March Air Force Base. So that is going to cover pro number 3. Moving on to pro number 4. Pro number 4, and one of my personal favorites, is going to be the weather. So in the March Air Force Base area, we do have a Mediterranean style type of climate. What does that mean? That just means that, hey, it doesn't get way too hot, but it doesn't get way too cold either. Now, there is some exceptions. There is a couple days out of the year where it can get a little bit scorching above that 95-degree Fahrenheit, right? So yes, there is exceptions where some of the days, like last year, for example, in 2022, we did have this influx of a heat wave, pass across Southern California for like 2 weeks. And let me just say, it was a bit miserable. So again, there is exceptions. And also in 2023, for whatever reason, don't know what's going on, but we did have this winter blizzard come through Southern California region like we've never been seen in like over 40 years. So that's also something to consider, that there is exceptions, but majority of the time we do have that Mediterranean style type of climate where, again, it doesn't get so hot, but it doesn't get too cold, where it's just really, it's not fun, right? So that's one great thing, is here in Southern California, we do have, well, in this area, right, of the March Air Force Bases, you do have that Mediterranean style type of climate. So one thing to consider is you're gonna enjoy Southern California for the amazing climate, especially the more you go towards the coastline as well. So that's going to cover all the pros of living around the March Air Force Base area. Now, not limited to those 4 pros, there's definitely more pros with living in and around the area of March Air Force Base. However, these are the top 4 that a lot of people tend to kind of really think about when they're moving to the area. So moving on to con number 1. Con number 1 of living in the March Air Force Base area, and you got to know this, there is a lot of traffic congestion, right? Now, we are in Southern California, and California in general does always have a lot of traffic. Now, if you are getting relocated to the March Air Force area because you got orders, right? You just got to know that there is a lot of traffic, especially right off that 215 coming into that March Air Force area off of Van Buren. Can get heavily congested, just that little hub of area, because there's 2 kind of intersections that meet and they just kind of collide, and it just makes a big mess. So you need to know that, hey, you just probably need to wake up a little bit earlier, or probably schedule ahead of time and always plan accordingly, because yes, there will be some traffic, and that's just something that's going to be there. More than likely, it's not going to go away anytime soon. So big tip is just plan accordingly, because you just never know, especially here in that little congestion of Moreno Valley with Riverside coming together. It can get pretty rough in traffic. So it's something major to consider, is the heavy traffic in the area. So that's going to cover con number 1. On to con number 2. Con number 2, and it's kind of expected, especially if you're in the Air Force and you kind of know this already, it's going to be the noise in air traffic, right? Yes, you know that, hey, all the C-7s or whatever it's up in the air, some Blackhawks or F-18s, right? They're going to be over there above you, and it is going to get pretty noisy. So something always to consider in around the area of March Air Force Base is there will be a lot of noise and a lot of air traffic. So if you're somebody that likes your peace and quiet, just know you're probably not going to get it all the time, and there will be some noise. I have family member that that lives close to March Air Force Base. They could actually see March Air Force Base from the hill of their home, and they watch the air show there and they love it. But they tell me all the time, like, yes, it can get pretty noisy out here, you know, because of all the planes and etc. and whatnot. So again, something to consider. It is the noise in the air traffic. On to con number 3. Con number 3 of living in and around the March Air Force March Air Force Base area, that's going to be its limited housing options. So March Air Force Base by no means is a big Air Force base, and you've already known this, right? And so that is just something to consider. There's not a lot of, housing options within the March Air Force Base itself. So you are more than likely going to be residing outside of the base to live by whatever, sell a home. So that's always something to consider. If you're one of those people is that you have to live on base because you do not like the civilian world. Yes, remember I was a veteran, I know the terminology, right? Yes, you will have some difficulties getting a place on base. So again, something major to consider, like my buddy that moved from Korea, moved to March Air Force Base and got a place in Riverside, California. Absolutely love it. He has a sweet location, a little 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment, and just living his life. So that's just, again, something to consider. But again, I totally get those people that love to live on base as well, because I've been there and I've done that as well. And it just has that sense of more of security of living on base. So that is going to cover con number 3 and our final con of living in and around the March Air Force Base area, but not limited to, again, those 3. So overall, that is going to cover all the cons, right? That right there was your veggies, and I gave you your desserts a little bit earlier. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a little market recap of everything that I kind of discussed to really, hone down whether or not, you're going to have a great experience or not. In my personal opinion, I think you absolutely will, because there's so much more than just that little hub of March Air Force Base. So moving on to the market recap. Market recap time. So here we are now. March Air Force Base, where it's located, is ideal location, located to a lot of major cities, a lot of amusement parks. There's so much amenities, so many stores, so many indoor, so many outdoor activities. It's just unlimited potential for you to have so much fun while you're stationed in March Air Force Base. And so that's just something to always consider. Again, is that it does have so much variety of options that it has to offer, as long as you can get over some of the traffic and maybe some of the noise, or maybe the fact that you're not going to be living on base, you're probably going to be living off base, right? There is so many different options, so many things to consider, but overall you're going to have a great grand old time in Southern California. And where March Air Force Base is located is just like perfect location. Again, it's just, a location is amazing. Now, I hope you thought this video was very useful to you, and hopefully you got some clarity of whether or not you're gonna have a great experience. But I have a strong feeling that you will have a great experience getting relocated to March Air Force Base. It's a lot of airmen's and airwomen's dream is for you to be stationed here, just because it's Southern California. It's so beautiful and all the amazing things that it has to offer, as long as you can get over, again, the traffic congestion and how heavily populated it is, as well as some of the noise that comes along with it. But you know, if you are active duty Air Force, you already know exactly how that noise is in the air traffic that comes with it. So thank you for watching. Any comments, definitely comment down below, and we would love to answer anything that you may have. Thank you for watching Living in South California.